Oh, it's a bit chilly outside, but don't worry. I've got a desert themed speed up just for you, which might just warm you up a bit. Hello YouTube, this is MrOllzinator, aka MrOllzinator here, bringing you a mixture combination type thing of a speed art and a walkthrough. And as you can see now, it's pretty quick. This is like the speed art bit, and I'll be slowing it down in places and talking through what I'm doing, so that it's kind of the best of both worlds. You get to know how I'm doing it, but it's not too boring to watch because I can skip through all the boring bits. So this is the type of video which hopefully I'll be doing in the future, one of them anyway, where it's kind of like a animated wallpaper type thing, which I've always liked a bit of animation, kind of dabbled in it in the past, and just the whole designing with animation kind of in the back of my mind, because I'm going to animate it later, is kind of like an interesting thing to do when I'm designing wallpapers like this. And yeah, I think it just makes it a lot more interesting, rather than just looking at the final image just as a still final image. A lot more interesting to watch a little video about it. So this is where I'm up to now. The gun's blended, ready to get Drake in there. This is from the Uncharted 3 trailer. You can watch it if you just search on YouTube, Uncharted 3 trailer, and it's pretty much the first one. He is walking in the desert, and I took 10 screenshots from the trailer, cut him out 10 times, which took ages, but I didn't have to be too precise because later I'm going to blur him, so if there's any rough bits you wouldn't really be able to see them. I would have done more than 10 frames, but as you may have seen in the trailer, he kind of walks, as you see here, he walks kind of down a hill, and the photo, as you can see here, is pretty flat, so that would have looked a bit weird. So just then you saw where I'm up to now. I've got all the Drakes in there. Here I'm cutting out the foreground so that it's in front of him, and also I'll be using that later in the animation. One of the elements of the animation was having two planes, kind of an element of a 3D photo, what they call a 3D photograph, or some people call it that. You can search tutorials for that, and there's more in-depth ways of in-depth explanations of how to do that in After Effects, but you'll see that a bit later. So I'm just lining them all up, putting them in the right place, color correcting them a little bit. It's kind of hard to get that right because when everything's blurred, it's kind of, I don't know, it's a lot harder to make it look realistic. Hopefully I did an okay job, but I'm not really sure. It's hard to tell. And here I'm just finishing off cutting out the foreground, a few gradient maps, a few filters, all that jazz. And now I'm ready to save stuff. So I've got the foreground on the first thing, transparent background, save that, get rid of the gun, and then go through hiding, unhiding the different frames of Drake walking, saving each of them as a separate image, 1 through to 10. So they kind of make up the frames, which I'm going to use later as the animation. Here I'm making the sand. I just made the same height canvas but really wide. Just got a scatter brush, just one of the default ones. Add some scattering to it, did it all the way across in light yellow, made it a bit smaller, did it all the way across, saved them separately as foreground and background sand. Here I'm just in Audacity just cutting down the audio so it's the right bit I want. Now I'm in After Effects. This is quite a long video. Lining everything up, getting everything imported. Here's just a quick tip with cameras if you don't already know. You want to insert a camera. I just chose a 35mm one, and then from what I know, this is the best way to do it. It's all I've known how to do it. You then insert a null object, and then you make the parent of the camera layer the null object, so that you can have all the normal transform controls, and it affects the camera. And it's I just did it there. Pretty much the null object is now your camera, so whenever you move that, it will move the camera. Make sure you make all the layers 3D layers, otherwise it won't work. It's a little cube icon. I just click and dragged it all the way down. And you can also make the null object a 3D layer, so that you can use kind of the Z axis as you're zooming in and out, rather than using the scale percentage, because that's not really the right way to do it. The best way to do it is actually not physically, you know what I mean, using the Z axis to zoom in and out. Skipping ahead a bit more here, just lining everything up, getting the timing right. Here I am adding the zoom and pan out. I'm moving my hands a lot. So I'm going to be starting off zoomed in slightly more on the gun on the left, and then I'm going to zoom out central and so you can see everything 100% pretty much. Quick tip again, you can right click keyframes and add easy eases on the keyframe assistant. That basically, easy ease in would be slow then fast, easy ease out would be in would be fast and slow, out would be slow then fast. Just makes it look a lot more, well, doesn't always, but most of the time it makes it look better because it's more kind of, I don't know, faded in a way. Here's me just playing about with the foreground. This is one of the elements of the animation. I'm just going to pause it though while I explain it. So, as I was saying, you can find out more about this by searching 3D photograph, After Effects, whatever. But if you get your two hands like this, and this is your foreground, this is your background, hopefully you can see that, and then you move your head like as if it's the camera around your hands, you can see the foreground one moves a lot faster than the background one. This was something that I wanted to do in this to give it kind of a 3D effect. It's not really obvious, which is kind of what I was going for. You don't want to make it too obvious. I just got a little reminder, go away. You don't want to make it too obvious. Like if you go back the first time you watched the video, the final result, which should be in the description down below, you probably wouldn't have noticed it, but if you go back you'll be able to see that the foreground kind of overtakes the background a little bit. And I was saying that just gives it a slight 3D effect, makes it look less flat and more like a proper animation in a way. Roll the video again, and I'm just lining more things up. Most of this, the majority of the time I took animating was to just get the timing right, line everything up. Here's me adding the sand. First the foreground sand, which was on top of everything. I moved it on the first keyframe all the way over to the right. Probably your right is over here. And then put a keyframe at the end and moved it all the way over to the other side so that it gives the effect it's kind of blowing across the screen. Adding this background sand, which I put behind the foreground layer, so it's behind the gun. I put the foreground sand about 20%, the background sand at about 10% opacity. Did the same with the background sand, make it blow across, blah blah blah. I think I had a bit of motion blur on there as well. This is me just adding the sound of the wind, which I just got off YouTube. I think I searched sand blowing sound or something like that, and more just lining up. I added a slight fade in between the different Drake walking. We can't really see that. Here I had a bit of a blonde moment where I was fading everything. I wanted it to fade from black, and I was fading everything with the lasers separately, which was stupid because I realised the easiest way to do it is just make a black solid at the top, fade that in, everything fades at the same speed. This is me just adding the text, and you should be seeing the final image in 3, 2, 1. If I've matched everything up, there it is. This is just kind of one of the frames which you can use as a desktop, or as you can see, if you want to watch the animated version, links should be down below. It's been really long, 7 minutes, wow. So thank you very much for watching. As always, more to come from me, so be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss it. Obviously I don't upload a video every day or even every 2 days or whatever, so if you want to stay more up to date with me, what I'm up to, you can find all my links down below. Got a website where you can buy a t-shirt for $12.99, not included postage. You can go on Fuzzwit's Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, you know all that. I'm not a big tweeter, but I do like Instagram, so you can go follow me on that if you want. As always, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye. Hello YouTube. What is with the wave? Hello YouTube, this is... So as you can see here, I'm just blending in the gun into the sand. I'm just telling you what I'm doing, because nothing's too... Just kind of focus on making it look really good. You also focus on... So now I'm just blending in the gun into the sand. If you can't tell already, it's Uncharted 3 based, and yes, Ooh, it's cold outside. But don't worry, I have a desert theme speed up just for you, which will hopefully, that's